Okay, guys, may I read the guidelines for the entire webinar? So here are some guidelines. Number one, the entire webinar is about 1 hour. So when the session is starting, so please mute your mic for the entire session. You can also unmute it when you have a question or when the speaker or the host calls your name. And number three, you can ask at least 2 questions so anyone can also ask the questions. And number four, you can write your questions in the chat box if you don't feel comfortable speaking in your microphone. And also, number five, chat your full name in the chat box for your attendance. So I think, Priya, can we start?
Yeah, we can start.
Okay. So, a pleasant afternoon to everyone. I am Maria Fatima Navia from the Philippines. I'm your host today for today's webinar. And our topic for this webinar is the utilizing recycled community waste in oyster mushroom cultivation. Okay, let me introduce the organic for climate. So this organic for climate is a platform for organic farming that aims to become a one-stop solution platform for the barriers to organic farming adoption. We are focusing on 2 areas. What is organic farming and how one can find helping in practicing organic farming. Raising awareness and solving the problems together can give better results. And the objective of this mission is to adopt and implement the practices of organic farming with a systematic approach and develop linkage between the farmers and the market with the intervention of certifications, agencies, and most of all, march towards sustainable living. I will introduce now the speaker, Mr. Shawnie. So our speaker for today is um, from the tribal of Igbo of the Philippines. He is from the mountain of the Cordillera. So, kababayan. And Igora tribe is Alois, and farming is one of the means of livelihood. And he started cultivating oyster mushrooms when he was 20 years old, and he saw an opportunity in recycling waste into food. He recycles rice bran and sawdust as substrate in making oyster mushrooms. And for every fruiting bag that he makes, he recycles 2 pounds of farm waste and produce 0.78 pounds fresh oyster mushroom. Imagine that, guys. And our speaker has a story that how an inspiring programmer realizes his happiness in oyster mushrooms and how he teaches himself as the art of the oyster mushroom cultivation without any help. So may I present you our speaker for today's webinar, Mr. Shawnie Dhale Bitso. Okay, Mr. Shawnie Dhale,
Hello,
it's
hello
the floor is
everyone. Thank you for joining our
on to you.
Zoom webinar. Wait,
Hi,
I'll turn
John.
on my camera. Hello, can everyone see me now?
Yes, Mr. Shawnie.
Yeah, we can see you, Shona.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you for joining our webinar. So, should we start?
Yes.
So I'll be turning off my video because I would like to apologize because our connection is not that fast. Thank you. Okay, so thank you for joining again. So um, first, our farm is called Sanagi Agri-Tourism Farm. So we are located in Bigis Poblacion, Tuba Benguet in Cordillera, Philippines. So the title of our webinar is Utilizing Recycled Community Waste in Oyster Mushroom Cultivation. First, before we start, I would like to tell the terminologies in order for you to relate on what am I talking about. So spore. Spore is a one-celled reproductive unit capable of giving rise to a new individual without sexual fusion. Mycelium is the vegetative part of a fungus. Pinheads are little mushrooms growing out of the fruiting bugs. Mushroom spawn serves as a seed to be planted in a substrate. Flushes, term used when mushrooms grow. Compost, decaying materials like sawdust and rice straw. Substrate, mixture of raw materials where mushrooms grow. And fruiting bag, it is where the mushroom grow. So, what is an oyster mushroom? An oyster mushroom is a fungus. So it produces fleshy fruiting body. It is a spore bearing and it feeds on decaying organic matter. And also the mycelia will eat small roundworms and bacteria, making it a carnivorous mushrooms. So these are the parts of a mushroom. This is the cup and this is the gills. The gills will produce spores and this is the stem and this is the mycelium. So these are the recycled waste that we can use in our environment. First is sawdust. So if there are many wood or if there are someone who is carving, we can use their sawdust waste in order to make mushrooms. Another one is rice bran, rice hull, and rice straw. So if rice is abundant in your place, we can use it as our substrate. Or also used coffee grounds. If there are many cafes in your place, you can visit them and you can get their coffee ground waste or their used coffee grounds. Another one to try is used paper or carton box. So the first step is composting. One key ingredient in having a good substrate is sawdust. Sawdust needs to be composted for 21 days for it to give proper nutrient to the mushroom. It will be washed for every 2 days to remove the acidity of the wood. So paper, used coffee grounds are or do not need to be composted. We only need to compost our wood substrate. Next is mixing. After decomposing the sawdust, it will be mixed with other materials like sugar, lime, and rice bran. These materials are the standard mixing substrate in making a fruiting bag. After mixing the materials, it will be sprayed with water because mushrooms need moisture in order to grow. So in mixing, we need to mix the dry materials first. We need to mix the sawdust, sugar, lime, and rice bran. Then we will need to put some water, almost 40%, in order to have proper moisture in our substrate. Next is fermentation. Fermentation will promote mold growth and to decrease contamination level we will need to ferment the substrate for 7 days covered with plastic. Or just like in this picture, we put the substrate inside a sack. So it is where we can ferment our substrate. So we ferment our substrate by putting sugar. Bagging. Upon mixing the substrate, it will be packed in a PP bag or polypropylene bag. In packing the substrate, it needs to be firm in order to give the fruiting bag a firm shape to prevent the substrate from breaking apart when you will hang them. So if you don't want to use a propylene bag, we can use tubs. So we can recycle them, or we will not have many waste in plastic. We can also create a bedding, or we can put them directly into plastic or durable boxes. Next is sealing. The next step is to seal the fruiting bags with recycled paper, cotton waste, and PVC pipe. Paper will ensure that water will not get inside the fruiting bag when it will be pasteurized. Cotton waste will prevent bad bacteria in contaminating the fruiting bag. The rubber band will secure the seal, and the PVC pipe will serve as the neck of the cotton waste to be plugged in. So as we can see in this picture, this is the substrate, and we put it inside the bag. And after putting it inside the bag, we will need to seal it in order to protect it. Next step is pasteurization. Pasteurization is the process that will ensure the fruiting bag that bad bacteria will die. The fruiting bags will be carefully put inside a steel drum, and it will be cooked for 8 hours to ensure that all bad bacteria will be gone. The fruiting bugs will stay inside the steel drum for over 16 hours. 8 hours to be pasteurized and 8 hours to cool down. So in this picture, we can see that we use this coconut husk in order for us to pasteurize our fruiting bags. So another ways that we can recycle in creating our fruiting bags and making oyster mushrooms. Next is inoculation. The process of planting mushroom spawn in substrate, and the mycelium will take over the substrate and produce inoculating points. So as we can see, there are candles beside the one who is inoculating. So we need to put candles in order for bacteria not to contaminate our substrate and our spawn. Also, in inoculation, we need to apply alcohol in our hands. And also we need to clean our our place to prevent contamination. Incubation. Before the fruiting bugs are ready to fruit, it will need 30 days for its mycelium to colonize the fruiting bag. The incubation room should be clean, and also it should be secured from pests like rats, cockroach, and to prevent them from eating the spawns. This is an important step in our oyster mushroom making, because we need to protect them from pests. So we need to make an incubation cabinet for us to be successful in incubating our fruiting bags. And the next step is hanging of fruit bags. After 30 to 45 days of incubation, The fruiting bags are ready to be transferred. In the growing room, the mushrooms will be on a state of shock, forcing it to fruit and produce mushrooms. So, in hanging our fruiting bags, we need to make sure that the place where we hang our fruiting bags is far from our incubation room because it can lead to contamination if our fruiting bags that are ready to fruit will be beside our incubation rooms. Next is preparation for our fruiting bags to fruit. We can put holes or cut the both sides from front to back of the fruiting bags for mushrooms to have airflow and for mushrooms to fruit. And harvesting. Golden rule: before misting mushrooms, we need to harvest first to have a good quality mushrooms and a longer shelf life. So that is the basic steps in taking care of our oyster mushrooms. Um, do you have any questions so I can clarify them and I can teach more on how is oyster mushroom capable to help our community to grow and to be cleaner and to recycle more farm waste. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shawnie. Okay, let's go on to the question and answer. Or do you want more presentation or videos? Our speaker also have him I mean his YouTube channel. So you if you want to look at his video in YouTube channel, there are lots of learnings about growing oyster mushroom for beginners, also the mushroom farm episode 1 until the Sanagi agritourism farm updates. Everything is in his YouTube channel. Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you, Mr. Shawnee, for the very informative presentation. And I would like to thank Mr. Shawnee for speaking to our participants, since we are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us. Since we are entering a new growth phase on our farms and our learnings, your comments very timely, and I believe we can benefit immediately from the methods you suggested or from the learnings you've suggested. Your enthusiasm is contagious, and we hope to use your experience and knowledge in our mushroom journey. Thank you again, Mr. Shani, for your contribution.
Yes.
And I
Also,
also want,
uh, I would like to thank you for inviting me in this webinar. Um, Please subscribe in our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel so we can upload more tips and you can ask us on what do you need or what are the tips that you need. So on our next video, we can share them. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Okay, and also I want to thank you to all the participants joined here in our webinar, and I hope you guys learned a lot about utilizing recycled community waste in oyster mushroom production. So you can also use this as your startup business if you want to. And I hope you guys also practice or use the knowledge and learnings that was given to us by our speaker. And you know, guys, our learnings and knowledge is a priceless treasure that can never be stolen by anyone, right? So again, thank you for your active participation, for your time and effort. And special thanks to our founder of the Organic for Climate, Miss Priya, and also her team for finding us a very amazing speaker. And we don't have this kind of webinar without your initiative to educate and effort. So thank you guys. Ms. Priya, do you still there?
Thank you, Team Nepal. Sorry, Philippines. It was a wonderful session. I must all of you guys have learned something I knew. I hope that you will incorporate this knowledge in your daily routine, and you will try to at least start a mushroom cultivation or some sort of organic farming at your home. Yeah, thank you, Shawnie, for doing this. It was a wonderful session, and thank you, Maria. It was like you did everything well. Yeah. So if you want to know, have more webinars on any particular topic, please drop a comment here or on our page or anywhere. We will bring more webinars in future, and whatever sort of queries you want to ask to the speaker, please refer to his page or YouTube channel, or we will provide you his Facebook profile link. You can ask there also. Yeah. Thank you everybody for joining the session and making it insightful. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you everyone.
Thank
Thank
you
you, everyone.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.